More match to go here in Group B. One seed left for the round of 16. Of course, Hydra moving on as most people expected, but right now it's going to be a fight between two players for that last spot. And we'll have to take a look at the bracket. Just for anyone who's tuning in right now, they're like, oh, well, Hydra, I expected that. But who else is left? Who can move on to the round of 16? Well, let's take a look at how it all started off in Group B here in the beginning. Of course, elfi and Starbuck coming through. elfi goes forward. Did just now lose to Hydra, but he's going to be down here and now meeting up with Kelazhur. Kelazhur super prepared for Starbuck. Holds it all off, holds the roaches, and then he says, all right, now I'm ready to play one more match to see if I can make it to the round of 16. So let's talk about that a little bit. Kelazhur, very well prepared against Starbuck, but elfi, a little bit of a curveball here for Kelazhur, or anyone in this group, and himself, of course, for that matter. What do you think we're expecting to see from Kelazhur?
Well, both these players share an experience. They both had a fairly easy time with Starbuck. I mean, we saw a little bit of a trip up from elfi, but otherwise it was pretty clean. And then both got summarily put down very hard by Hydra. So I feel like this is the coming of Destiny, and I'm excited about this because I think these are the two players that would vie for that second place spot. I think Starbuck on paper has had his chance in the past. He was upset even Bunny from Team Liquid, a very, very good player. But in practice here we saw that perhaps he was a little bit outclassed by these two guys. So what to expect? Kelazhur is going to be, I feel like, pretty straight up. I mean, we've seen that. Even against Hydra where he was outmatched a lot, he did not try to do anything too tricky. He just kind of kept to his ways, and it looked really good.
Yeah, I mean, do you think we can expect the same there? And in that case, do you think elfi, just maybe similar to what he tried against Hydra, that he's going to try to throw another curveball? Because it's like, well, if I've gotten to this point, I still have a shot at going to the round of 16. It would be a pretty cool story.
I don't think elfi's PvT is as bad as his PvZ, to be honest. elfi has always been a player, of course, that's shined in PvP. There's a lot of mind games. There's a lot of low micro situations that occur. All in all, it's a battle of mind games right now. It's the same thing like Starbuck. If it goes into the mid game on even terms, I feel like Kelazhur is very heavily favored. But at the same time, like elfi himself, he just tweeted, "Let's see how many times I proxy gate against Kelazhur." Like he's playing into that meta right now. That he's saying, you know what, I can do anything. And he's got very good TVP. I played him recently actually for just an online cup. He's very, very solid. Yep. Uses Widow Mines a lot. He's a great player. It's going to be up to elfi to kind of mix it up, I think.
I mean, yeah, it did seem like even in his game against Hydra, Kelazhur, as you mentioned, in control, he knows what to do. He knows what the standard ways are. He was a little bit outclassed simply because Hydra's so amazing right now in the WCS. But Kelazhur, he's all around, well-rounded, well-prepared in this matchup. Now, elfi, I like that you brought that up. Like, he's playing into that meta right now himself. I mean, he's kind of a rogue agent right now in Group B. It's like, well, we're playing against elfi. What can we say? It's like, well, I don't know. elfi, he could go off anywhere. He could go off the walls right now, bring something home. But as we mentioned before, it would be really a neat story for either one of these guys to make it to the round of 16. Something to really take back home.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it was Rotterdam that said earlier, none of these guys have been to the round of 16. It's kind of a big deal. And elfi's a little bit more of the kind of wizened older bunch. He's been around since the beginning. He's played Warcraft 3 professionally. So he's he's been to these tournaments and he's done fairly well. But he's here as a replacement as well. That's kind of cool. It's like he didn't expect to be here, but yet here he is in the decider match. And on the flip side, Kelazhur from Brazil, he'd be the first Brazilian player to make it this far at all. And he's a young guy, and he's getting good results as well. So it's just kind of, that's what WCS I feel is about, is getting players in these positions where it's like, guys, you're going to win some meaningful money, and you're going to travel and see the world, and you're going to compete at the highest levels. And that's what WCS is offering for these guys. So this is the closest and most fun match for me here in Group B. Group A, we had a little bit more controversy. It was a lot closer, I felt. Polt, I have to agree with Hydra, by the way. I do not think Polt is like leaps and bounds better than everybody else. I mean, Huck in particular was talking about yesterday, like there was some chances there. It's like, hey, Polt, shape up, buddy. But Hydra, like, I felt kind of bad because in these broadcasts, even the players, you could see on their faces, they're like, okay, yeah, Hydra, get out of here. Go on. Go to BlizzCon, you jerk. Like, jeez.
Yeah, of course, as you mentioned, Hydra is 100% confirmed. At this point, it's really just a fight for seeding and to secure a higher seed for himself with the points that he gets. Well, and money, too, of course. Yeah, prize money. But right now, for these guys, it's really a matter of pride. As you mentioned, for Kelazhur, what a moment it will be if he can say, first Brazilian player, put Brazil on the radar, I mean, overall, but now in WCS to say that, it's like, all right, well, Brazil's now been in the WCS round of 16. We've been in the top 16 players around the world. That's quite the feat for him to accomplish here in the season.
Especially because he's such a new player.
Yeah.
He isn't someone that's been around the scene for a long time. He really just started popping up as probably one of the better NA Terrans, if not, top 2 maybe. Yeah. And all of a sudden, he was there at WCS, and he could be going to round of 16. I think he's a strong favorite. And then on the other hand, we got the only guy that's going to honestly play in a suit jacket. And, he wasn't expected to be here. But all in all, he's willing to take risks, and more importantly, he had no expectations.
Yeah.
Which kind of plays into, you know what, this is all good for me. I wasn't even supposed to be here, and now all of a sudden I'm making good money. He even tweeted earlier today he expected to take one map.
Yeah, I mean,
and now he's in the decider match.
Yeah, talk about playing in the comfort zone, right? You're like, well, I accomplished what I aimed for. I came here. No one else is having like high expectations for me. I can just play the game the way I want to. Go home content. You still made it to the decider match. Here you are. And let's look at the map picks. Coda being snatched right away by Kelazhur, but otherwise,
these are the normal maps.
Yeah, straightforward actually for the first time today.
This is fine. They're in the gridiron. They want to see who the better player is to move on to that round of 16. They want that trip to Poland.
I really hate Cactus Valley PvT.
Yeah.
Going anywhere past 2 bases as a Protoss on that map, I find is very, very difficult. It's really hard to go from your main base to your third base, no matter what way you look at it. Other than that, though, the maps are, like you said, very solid, and hopefully we would see, something more cheeky, like some kind of 2-base play coming from elfi on that
Funny
map.
enough, by the way, elfi picked Cactus Valley.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
That's so elfi, though, to be honest.
Yeah, like you were not expecting. First
Players
map,
like, I don't like 4-player maps. Too random. It's hard to take a third. And elfi's like, yes, precisely. No third, and it's random. I don't see the issue.
We'll see if that can work out in his favor. We'll definitely get to see that when it is the second map. But we'll have to see who takes the first one and if it ends by map 2 or if we get to go all the way to Terraform in map 3. Should be an interesting matchup, ladies and gentlemen. One more spot for the round of 16. All right, guys. Well, I mean, we talked about it. elfi playing comfort zone. Kelazhur, though, overall looking stable. Now, briefed us earlier. Kelazhur, though, perhaps to some extent, some people expected a little bit more from him overall recently. But in his place today, what are we expecting for Season 3 of Kelazhur? Do you think he's going to perform as stable as possible in this game?
Well, what I think is kind of cool is we're at the precipice of finding out the answer to that. Like, I do think on paper, Kelazhur is the better player. He's got the kind of bigger upswing. That being said, we're playing a short best-of-3 in a meaningful match against a guy who, I mean, every time they show elfi, guys, try to find a pulse, try to find a sweat bead in that picture. You won't. He's as calm, cool, and collected as you can get. And he's dangerous, so it's a fun series in that sense where they're fairly close in skill, probably give advantage to the Brazilian player, but at the same time, it's elfi's a Protoss player of legendary status for his trickery, for his willingness to do crazy stuff.
All right, well, let's find out. Of course, he kicked off the match against Hydra with a spicy start. Didn't work out in his favor. We'll see if he can pull off something similar this time, or if Kelazhur is going to be just as prepared as he was against Starbuck in the decider match of Group B.
Only one player can make it here to the round of 16 for the first time in their World Championship Series Premier League careers. There's a lot at stake, Roddy. One of these two are going to have a phenomenal evening after this best-of-3.
Absolutely. Are we going to have our first finish or our first Brazilian player in the round of 16? Of course, we had Walmo in the past, but he's not here this season, so it all comes down to elfi.
All comes down to this man as well, representing Brazil and Root Gaming, of course, Kelazhur, who defeated Starbuck and his Roches in the lower bracket match to make it to this point.
And played so solid in that series, Nate. He really adapted very well to what he could have potentially faced. He's going to have to do perhaps something similar to this man on the left top side of Coda, of course hailing from Finland. It is elfi. Still streams quite a bit of StarCraft. Every now and then I like to tune into his stream. It's very funny because there is never a moment where you tune into elfi's stream and everything is normal. There's always something that looks slightly different than in most StarCraft 2 games you see.
Yeah, it's a little funny because I was sitting backstage during that last series and I was sitting next to Petraeus and I was just like Mac, does he actually just do this all the time? Like, have you ever been proxy forged gatewayed by elfi before and when you were living in Europe? And he's like, actually, no, most of my games against him were pretty normal. They didn't really feel that out of place, so it's really weird that he has this reputation. I'm like, I guess it's just for ladder, huh? But
it's not just for ladder. There's been so many tournaments. I mean, even going back in the days in 2011, I saw elfi going for a 2-base 24-minute attack against Stefano on Shakura's plateau with a big mothership, and he managed to
taking a third on Shakura's plateau as a Protoss those days.
Still, though, making a big mothership, making a fleet beacon and a big mothership on 2 bases, like that is elfi in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's pretty baller.
And most Europeans will definitely say he's crazy. I mean, there's a reason why I was able to call his Gateway Forge before it even happened. Like I already mentioned. Like
you don't get a reputation for that sort of thing for nothing.
Exactly. I've seen him do it before. Now, of course, PvT is a matchup where it's a little bit harder to be that crazy. There are a couple of crazy proxies and cheeses you can throw out there. There is a probe that's right now in a a particular spot, but most likely he's just going to hide his probe over here for now. He will wait until, let's say, 3 minutes and 50 seconds. That's when the Reaper is halfway across the map, and that's when you can send your probe into the natural to either be annoying or, oh man, Kelazhur is so on top of things,
Yeah,
right?
he is checking, and he finds it. So as a
really well
Terran
done.
player, and the reason why, Roddy, as you mentioned, of course, you want to hide the probe, that Reaper can kill it very quickly, but as a Terran player, you are constantly living in fear that your Reaper steps out and the probe goes into your base and can completely scout you, and then you have to bring the Reaper all the way home to kill it, or it goes out onto the map and roams free.
I mean, there are two options there. I mean, both is the best. Like, first you go into the main base and you want to see is there going to be a factory follow-up or more barracks. And then the second thing you can do with that probe, if the Reaper doesn't kill it, is work on the SCV that's building the command center on the low ground. And Nate, as a Terran player, I'm sure you can attest to the fact
Oh, it's so
how
annoying.
that is.
No, if you pulling an extra SCV off, it's already frustrating enough because
You're like, I'm losing so much money.
Yeah, exactly. You lose so much money. Kelazhur,
Wow.
as this Reaper goes in, he's actually doing. He's a pretty greedy build here. Straight to 3 command centers, no fear whatsoever. This is unusual. This is pretty.
Yes.
This is pretty ballsy.
We saw Major try to do this multiple times. I'm not sure if I'm a super big fan of this, because it's extremely likely that elfi is going to go for some very, very serious 2-base aggression. Twilight Console, did it get spotted? Yes, it did. Did he have time to click on it? Maybe not, but maybe he just kind of knows it is there. He's going to go back. He's going to definitely see it this time. Now he knows. We saw the green circle around it. So Kelazhur knows that it's going to be a Twilight. So most likely 2 more Rexes go down and 1 Tech Lab will be added very quickly and squeeze out 1-2 Anchor Marauders.
The cool thing about this build is that if the Protoss player doesn't do anything crazy, then you usually get away with it scot-free and life is great. You have an infinite amount of money. You kill the guy pretty easily. But if elfi just goes for 2-gate Blink Stalker or 2-base Blink Stalker all in, I'm pretty sure he's just going to crush this.
elfi doesn't exactly take his inspiration from Rain, Nate. he takes it from the likes of who were the crazy Protoss?
Hitman, maybe?
Yeah, well, who was the Korean Protoss also? I mean, like MC.
Oh,
in
like
the days.
Arthur.
Arthur, exactly. You know, like category set Arthur, Haas. You know, that's elfi. That's where elfi fits in.
All right.
He does drop a robotics facility as well. That could be because he's still a little bit worried about maybe a factory follow-up.
Because he couldn't get that probe scout.
Exactly.
in.
He doesn't know that it's a 3cc build. I think if he knew, he would just drop 6 gateways, Chrono Boost Blink a few more times and go super all in. It actually seems like elfi is aiming for a macro-oriented opening.
Yeah, like a defensive blink.
Yeah, as he takes both assimilators in his natural. And this is going to be really good for Kelazhur, because everything you want as a Terran player is just Protoss, stay on your side of the map. Don't bother, don't even quickly scout me, and don't go for any crazy 2-base super all-in. And then eventually my economy is going to be so much better than yours.
Yeah, Kelazhur is bringing in a lot of minerals. I'm a little bit surprised that he's decided to take the rest of his gases so late. He's still actually just on 1 refinery, so getting up his factory and building Marauders are actually really slowing down the rest of his tech. So he's not progressing forward too quickly.
I like the missile turrets as well. Oh my god, he's so paranoid. elfi is really playing to his image over here with his macro-oriented opening. Look at this. Missile turret for DTs. Bunker going up in the main base for, crazy Blink Stalker all in that he would blink into the main. Kelazhur is a little paranoid. Can't blame him, because we are the first ones to say if he would die to an all-in, oh come on man, you're playing against elfi. Please be prepared.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And that could also be why he delayed those gases, get that little bit of extra mineral income so that he can spend the money that he needs on those missile turrets, were it, some variety of Blink Stalker or Dark Templar push.
Could pretty much salvage that bunker immediately, and that's exactly what he does as soon as he scouts the main. Spots the forge, spots the robotics bay, and he knows what he's up against. This is the first time in the game that elfi actually knows what he's up against, as he is going to spot that overcommand right now, and elfi is not a happy camper. On this moment he looks at this, he's like, oh no, you've got so much money.
That's a very fast 3rd command center indeed, and that means a lot of money for Kelazhur. The only thing that works to elfi's benefit is that he did scare him into delaying his tech a little bit. That means that the Colossus won't be met with a crazy amount of resistance as far as Vikings go, because the starport has only just started.
He's getting a second forge as well, so elfi is truly going to try to sink this